Hari Om. In Bhagavad Gita, we always call it as a divine scripture for so many things, from the content to the presentation and the usage of words to the impact that the arrangement of word creates, the Padarachana. One of the way of convincing a person is by giving or eulogizing the importance of the point that you are making. So suppose I'm talking about a fruit called mango. I can describe all the attributes of mango and try to emphasize on the other person that how beautiful, how nice, how important that fruit is. If his mind is already prejudiced with some other fruit, then I use a little different language and I start telling him that, mango is superior to that one. That doesn't have this, which the mango has. So that means there are two approaches that can be made to convince a person while describing a point. One is by eulogizing the point, by appraising the point under consideration, or by disapproving the other points that are there so that your point gains the importance. This is called as language of Anvaya and Vyatireka in Sanskrit. The Shloka 25, Bhagavan has used the language of Anvaya, eulogizing the Atman. And in 26, he has used the language of Vyatireka. Vyatireka means everybody dies, everybody. He has gone on birth and death side. Vyatireka. So it's very nice to see how Anvaya Vyatireka has been used and how Gurudeva has used Anvaya Vyatireka while explaining his own way, in his own inimitable way, the meaning of the mantra. The most important part is we are in Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya is knowledge. And that is why every answer given in this particular chapter, this particular adhyaya, is based on the knowledge standpoint. So Bhagavan is time and again going to emphasize upon knowledge as the basic precinct from which you can fire the salvo. So what is he trying to tell to Arjuna? That you are afflicted with shoka. And not only afflicted, you have put the shoka on a very high pedestal, arhasi. You have dignified the shoka now. Na anushkuchitam arhasi. Don't do that. Why? As an antidote to the shoka, the only antidote available and possible is if you realize your own nature, which is avyakta, achintya, avikarya. If that is what you realize, realization here is viditva, having known. Known means it is not something of the kind of experience, but it is something of the type which is intuitive in nature. If you are intuitively aware of your own nature, by virtue of the intense tapas that you should be doing, then if you look from the standpoint of a Jivan Mukta or the one who has realized Atman, and if you come back as an Arjuna to fight, you will have no question left, and naturally there will be no shoch, no shok. It is very funny that the word shok has come from the dhatu shucha, and shucha dhatu is also used for shaucha, to feel sorrowful and to purify yourself. Both have same root. How it is possible? The reason is Agni, being the most important deity during Rigvedic times, Agni was known to purify many things. So Agni, being a purifier, that which is purified by Agni is clean, stainless. That is how the Shauch word came. But similarly, one who is completely drenched by the fire of the grief is also called Shok. So the intensity of the heat is same. One is towards purity, one is towards the sorrow. So Shok that the Arjuna is suffering, Bhagavan is giving him an answer through Anvaya, which is the final answer for all the shokas in life. If you see these 7 avasthas of Abhasa, Shokanasha is the ultimate achievement of a yogi, the one who reaches the Atma Jnana stage. In short, Bhagavan here is answering exactly what the Nachiketa asked in Kathopanishada. Yeyam prete vichikitsa manushye asti iti eka na asti iti cha eka. Whenever there is a person is dead, some people say the man is still alive. Some people say no, he is no more there. Etat vidyam anushishtatvaya aham. Dharmaraj, Yamaraj, please tell me what is precisely what happens in the death. Varanam eva varam strutiya. This is the third and the final blessing I am asking from you. There he asked Dharmaraja, here Lord is giving on his own to his own close disciple Arjuna, because the Arjuna has created a situation which is full of grief, vishad, shoka. So he is giving an answer to that. Now what happens is, it is not that we don't try to find a solution to the grief that we have. Arjuna also has tried it. And eloquent arguments, Gurudev says, not a simple argument. Vaktrutva Shaili. He had that ability to convince somebody. With that conviction, he spoke. But Gurudev said he was a great advocate of logical thinking and forceful presentation. Logical thinking is tark. Gurudev is indirectly hinting that through logical reasoning, you cannot get the Atma Tattva. Why? Eko tarkam pratishthitam. Through reason, you cannot get it because it is beyond reason. And his entire argument was based on logical thinking or tarka. Forceful presentation, abhinivesha. Forceful presentation. Who does the presentation with force? The one who is doubtful about the truth in it. Otherwise, why need the force? So Gurudev has contrasted that with Lord's saying. First of all, he says Lord's saying is unearthly eloquence. Both are eloquent. That is eloquent argument. This is unearthly eloquence. Unearthly means what? Alaukika. Alaukika means what? That is that argument which you cannot find in the lokas. Not in the Prithvi, not in the Swarga. Why? They are all experiential states. And what Lord is talking is unearthly. That which cannot be experienced. Alaukika, which is transcending the experiential world. So it is called unearthly eloquence. And depth of significance in Krishna's delivery. Gambhir Mahatva. Gambhir is bottomless. Gambhir is deep. Unfortunately, in Hindi, Marathi, whatever the meaning of this word is taken as serious. वो बड़ा गंभीर आदमी है. नहीं, गंभीर बहुत कम होते हैं. गुरुदेव गंभीर थे. We cannot be गंभीर. गंभीर means depth. समुद्र गंभीर होता है. Gambhir is depth. So this particular thing has enormous depth of significance because it is alaukika jnanam. This much Gurudev has given in the first 4 lines itself. Now comes a very important and a basic question. Avyakto ayam. If I am unmanifested, then why talk about other things? Achintya, avikari. Your unmanifested self means you are achintya. isn't it? Think. If you are avyakta, then why call you again achinta? Why should you be called as avikarya? Baba, you're unmanifest. That means nothing will happen. But things do not end there. This is Bhagavad Gita. Is it avyakta or avyaktatva? Unmanifest or unmanifestable? Think. When he's talking about avyakta, means the one who can become, what is avyakta? Something that never transforms, can it become avyakta? Because vyakta is expressed, manifested. Avyakta is unexpressed. Unexpressed means waiting for expression. We have heard the concept of Mula Maya. What is Mula Maya? The one which has not expressed. There is Guna Samyavastha. But in Guna Samyavastha also, the Maya is in an avyakta form. Is the Lord referring to that avyakta, or he is referring to that which cannot be alleged to have transformed? That is a subtle philosophical thing in the shloka. Lord is referring to that which by itself never manifests, but under the auspices of which Vivartavad, avyakta and vyakta both come out. Now we are talking about Kshetra, Kshetrajna and Purushottama. He is Purushottama. Now, because he is unmanifest, you may think that, oh, the unmanifest also changes. Why? Mula Maya changes. She becomes the expressed Maya. There is a Guna badal in that, and then, the moment there is a Guna Samyavastha, it changed, the world manifests. Then how can you say that it is avikarya? To clarify that doubt, the shloka says, not only avyakta, achintya. That means that Maya which is not expressed can still be thought of. Yoyam asambhutam, Ishavasyopanishad. Asambhut ke upar jo upasana karte hai, those who meditate on unmanifested principle. That means unmanifested principle is thinkable, because meditation is thought. So in order not to confuse that unmanifested, Lord here is saying that is not only unmanifested, but achintya. Moment you say achintya, then he's talking about the Parabrahman. That which is beyond the boundaries of thinking. That which has to transcend the buddhi. That which is intuitively experienced only when the intellect is dissolved. That which does not take buddhi as the bridge to look forward. A direct perception of everything from the knowledge standpoint, that is Parabrahman. And that is why Lord here says unmanifest. That is why Gurudev says manifest itself means manifestation is through Pancha Mahabhuta. That is why whatever I spoke, I would like to draw an attention to Gurudeva's one word under the explanation of unmanifest. He says, but the cause of ether, the subtlest of the five elements, is too subtle for our perception, and therefore we will have to assume that it is unmanifest. Assume. Assume means you will have to assume, because it is there. You can't see it. So you assume. Who assumes? One who has not experienced. But is it a asat thing like a water in the mirage? No. It is there, but you can't see it. You can't think of it. That is unmanifest. Unthinkable, achintya. Chinta, chintanam itself is inclusive of the word chitta. Chitta means substratum of the mind. If the substratum of the mind cannot perceive a thing, such a thing can never be within the grasp of mind. That which is not within the grasp of mind is unthinkable. Unthinkable means that which cannot be grappled by thoughts. And thoughts are nothing but the echoes of whatever senses have experienced. That means neither the senses can help, nor the thought can be produced. Something which is not laukika, but alaukika. Neither laukika nor paralaukika, but alaukika. So this is what, that is why Gurudev says, a telescope gazer cannot see himself with his telescope. As per the Kenopanishada, Kene shitam preshitam patati. That which induces the ability to see and think cannot be seen by the effect, cannot see the cause. Effect can merge in the cause. Effect cannot see the cause because effect is a minor variation of the cause. Jiva is alpa shakti, alpa buddhi, upadhi of that Parabrahman. A 4 anna cannot be equivalent to 100 rupees because 4 anna is a part of the 100 rupees. So to grapple the value of 100 rupees, 4 anna doesn't have the ability. He has to come out of the concept of only 4 annas because beyond that he doesn't know. His boundary of knowledge extends to the periphery of that limitation that he has. And that is the reason we are called upadhi. Upadhis was delimited adjunct, delimited limitations are there. That is limitless. How limited can see limitless? Well, how it is possible? Swami Vivekananda once said that what could be the concept of soul for an ant? He said it could be maximum an elephant. Beyond that, her vision doesn't go. Ant is too small to have that vision. For that, we have to expand the boundaries of our limited adjunct and become slowly, slowly wider and wider. Udara charitanam tu vasudhaiva kutumbakam. It's a philosophical Upanishadic Shrutika Vakya hai. It's not to be taken by the things like, you should not be krupan, you should be helping everybody. That's not the limited meaning of that. I am nijaha paraha vekti. Ganana laghu chetasam. Laghu chetasa, small intellect. Widening of the intellect if it happens. Tukaram Maharaj actually described the experience of what happens. He says, Anurenuya thokada tuka akasha evada. He says, now I have become as big as sky. So did that mean that Tukaram bloated? The mind, the buddhi expanded to such an extent that it touched the sky, the last Panchamahabhuta. Beyond that, he will expand, the buddhi will come back. Dhaneshwar Maharaj says it is like buddhi, like a young girl leaves the home and keeps turning backwards to her when she goes to Maika. She keeps turning backward towards the house that she has left at the Maika when she is going to Sasura. Similarly, the buddhi, when it reaches at that stage, the buddhi returns back. It is like the private assistant of a minister who takes the guest up to the minister and leaves it at the door and goes back. Why? After that, that person goes inside. The buddhi is like that personal assistant. It can take you up to the door. And that is why once you go inside and have the darshanam of your own Atma, that is Atma Darshanam, then for such a person, and it is not a hypothetical statement, a Jivan Mukta, because he knows he is immutable, unmanifest, unthinkable, and unchangeable, now if you tell him, it is like a child who is involved into a game being played by children, suddenly one child becomes adult. Will he be interested in playing the game? He may continue playing the game, but will he be crying about it? No. He will participate with all fervor into it because he knows that this is all a game. That is why the time when Arjuna was under tremendous grief, Lord was smiling. How can you smile when such a serious occasion is there and the main disciple is crying and he's smiling? Why? Standpoints are different. One is from the laukika, that is experiential state. One is from transcendental space. Now, every time you can't take a philosophy to very high heights because it is not every time you may intellectually perhaps apprehend it, but to grasp it is not easy. Knowing fully well, Lord immediately descends down in 26th Adhyaya and then he says, okay, forget about it. What I said, you just forget. I know you may be confused. You may not immediately believe in me. At the end, I'll make you believe. Let these 18 Adhyayas pass and you will realize what I'm saying. But till then, let me say, you are right. This is called, in Nyaya Shastra, Vada is defined in detail. In Vada, Samana Adhikaranat, Pratipaksha Paksha, they keep. So now Lord is taking the other side. Okay, I agree with you. You don't agree with me. What do you say? They will die. Okay, I agree with you. And then if they're dying, then why you're worried? The one who is born is bound to die. Do you agree with me or not? Yes, I agree. If you agree, Arjuna, then marna to वैसे भी है. So you cannot save them forever, for sure. Then why worry about it? अथच एनम नित्य जातम नित्यम वा मन्यसे मृतम. Even if you think of him as being constantly born and constantly dying, even then, O Mahabhav, mighty armed is Ativa Buddhi. Why you should be grieving in such? A Sufi says, तमन्नाओं में उलझाया गया हूं, खिलौना देके बहलाया गया हूं. This is खिलौना. तमन्ना, desire. वासना है, that's why जन्म is there. तमन्नाओं में उलझाया गया हूं, खिलौना देके बहलाया गया हूं, इस कूचे के हर जर्रे से आगा हूं, इधर से मुद्दतों से आया गया हूं. मैं आया नहीं, लाया गया. What has happened here is that being born and to die is an associated thing. It is a package deal. Because the materialist, the Gurudev has pointed as materialist point, he's talking about Charvak. According to them, direct perception alone is the authority for belief. Because in Pramana, Charvakas believe only in one Pramana. And then it keeps on increasing as we go towards from the Charvaka to Uttar Mimamsa. In Uttar Mimamsa, all the six Pramanas are there. Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana. We have seen that Pramanas earlier. In direct perception, if you take, then in direct perception, you see a person dying and you see a person being born. If this is the case, then why do you grieve in that case also? That is why Gurudev says, then it is a bubble. If you don't understand my language of Anvaya, then let me tell you this language of Vyatireka, it is a bubble. Exactly with the same analogy, Kabir Maharaj says, Pani kera budbuda is bubble. Pani kera budbuda as manas ki jaat. देखत ही छिप जाएगा जू तारा प्रभात. In the night the star is seen. Prabhat, when the morning comes, देखते, by the time you see the star and the sun comes and he's gone. Pani kera budbuda, you see a bubble coming up in the water and then at the surface he's gone. The column for that particular process, in relative to observer, that is you, being small, you see, Are aaya gaya. But there are people to whom you are a bubble. From their standpoint, human life is, he came and he went. Eka eva kshanam. Kyun? We are alive for 80 years, 90 years. If lucky, 100 years. From Brahmaloka standpoint of view, it is like, he came and went. This is relativity of time. Einstein's one may or may not understand. The relativity, what we are talking here is, if the presence and absence, and in between them the vikaras towards the absence, asti jayate vardate viparmanate, this is all basically starting from the point to the end point. Once this is absolutely certain, Arjuna, then whichever way you see, I would love you to think of you as Atman, because that's the better way of looking at it. But if at all, now for the moment, you feel that tattvam comes and goes, even then you are supposed to fight and think of the fight alone. Why think of the parinama? Arjuna, you are focusing too much on the effect of what is your action. If your action itself is predetermined by the swadharma, which is your kshatriya swadharma, then you shouldn't be. It is like a Brahmin who is chanting a mantra. It's a swadharma being the Saraswati Archana. He will have to chant the mantra to the fullest without bothering about whether the mantra will have the requisite effect or not. Why? Because giving effect is not your prerogative. Giving effect is not your prerogative. You think of the act that you are doing. You are focusing too much on the result. And you are focusing too much on the result. Shall I tell you why? Because you think you are doing the act. Galati wahan hui hai. The mistake is made when you thought that you are fighting the war. That is why you took a decision, I will not fight a war. Neither you don't fight, nor you fight. Tasmat yuddha swa. Advice is very simple. You are here as obedient servant of the cosmos. The created universe has given a role to you. But I don't want to come into this cosmos. You did something, that is why you came. Don't do anything, you will not come. Lord said, I did not come because of my own act. I came as an avatar. So I will go back. You can also come with me. There is no problem. Upward mobility and upward movement, urdhvagati, is open to all. But by merely saying I don't want to be here, you cannot be here. You have to work for it. And that is what I'm telling you, how to work here. My entire Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, I'm devoting to telling you only one thing, how to work here. You thought you are the person in whose hands entire Mahabharata is now going to rest on your shoulder. All the generations to come forward are only dependent on somebody called Mr. Arjuna. Lord said it is not like that. Because you thought like that, immediately you got afflicted with the effect part of it, and the result was anxiety. And anxiety, when she comes, she invariably calls her sister, which is grief. Anxiety and grief are two sides of the same coin. Because you had anxiety, you are plagued by the grief, and once you have the grief, how decision making can be proper? So go back to the point where you started it all. Who are you? Nanyar, Raman Maharshi said, just think who you are. Everything will be sorted out. Because everything is because of the fact that that which I am not is everything. That which I am not is everything. Once you realize that, then instead of sorting out each issue all around you, sort only one issue, who you are. From the realized man standpoint, what is death? A Sufi says, नींद को लोग मौत कहते हैं, ख्वाब का नाम भी तो जिंदगी है. Life is a dream, so death is a sleep. It is as simple as that for the one who has realized the soul. And from that standpoint, if we look at these two mantras, through Arjuna, the Lord is giving a message to us. One is, do not bother about the death. Why? Anything that is born is bound to die. No, but I am not so keen on going. Sorry, sir. जम के दूत बड़े मजबूत, यम से पड़ा झमेला, उड़ जाएगा हंस अकेला. There is no way, you cannot. कौन ठगवा नगरिया लूटल हो. You can't do. जब होवेगी उम्र पूरी, जब छूटेगा हुक्म हुजूरी, यम के दूत बड़े मजबूत, यम से पड़ा झमेला. आया है तो जाएगा, तू सोचो अभिमानी मन. If you have come, you are bound to go. The whole gist what Lord is trying to tell here is, do not bother about what is happening to you because you are here. Focus on what you are supposed to do. We are focusing too much about how I can continue my presence here. Lord is trying to say your presence itself is an aberration. Your born itself is the biggest Mahapataka that has happened. Why? You are basically birthless, deathless. You have become birthful and deathful because of what you have done. So focus on that. And to focus on that, focus on who you are. Once you know who you are, then you don't have to even plan what you are supposed to do. The moment in 1950-51, we do not know the date and the month, the Gurudeva realized who he was. After that, next 4 decades, no planning, just action. Who was doing the action? For us, Gurudeva was doing the action. From Gurudeva's standpoint, who was doing the action? Don't know. Don't know, sir. I don't know who was doing the action. Why? Knowing is not my game. I just do. How did these results come to you? We say, what a beautiful result. Gurudeva did so many things. So from Gurudeva's standpoint, sir, what did you do? I don't know. All I know is on a particular day, at a particular time, I was there doing something. He told me to do, I did. Whatever came, went back to him, and I also went. That is why when Gurudeva had his heart attack, bypass issue, if you look at the forward that he has written, he says, this bloody heart attack actually disturbed me. Otherwise, I would have completed this commentary a little earlier. It is like saying that yesterday I had a headache and then, after some time it went off. From where the toughness towards the death event comes, it comes from the standpoint that what is death? I am deathless. And saying I am deathless and experiencing I am deathless intuitively are two completely distant objects. And that is why this is the standpoint. That's why thinking standpoint has to change. The pedestal has to change. Thinking from the material standpoint, it has to move up to the standpoint of Atman. Once you are there, then what is there? Idam kashtam, bahati nadyam sangataha. Sanyogascha viyogascha tatra ka paridevana. Why lament about it? This is a wood. You are a wood. I am a wood. We both are flowing through the river called time. After some time, we'll come together. After some time, we'll go away. Why lament about it? Shankaracharya says. This is the focus given to us by Gurudeva.